Hello and welcome back to Bookish. Today what I want to do is I want to review Yellowface by R.F. Kuang, a book that's been reviewed many times on BookTube, but I want to give my review and my thoughts about it here as well. So this is the first novel by Kuang that I've read, in part largely because I don't read a lot of fantasy or science fiction. This book was a gift from my son for Father's Day, and it was a really great reading experience, and I enjoyed it a lot. As I said, the book has been reviewed any number of times already on BookTube by BookTube channels far bigger and run by far more insightful people than me, and so I don't want to go through and do a whole lot of breakdown of the novel and what it's about. But I do want to talk about kind of how it affected me and the thoughts it caused me to have. So to begin with, the book, as I'm sure many people know, involves a white author whose name is June Hayward, who steals a manuscript from an Asian author named Athena Liu when she is there when Athena Liu chokes to death. This isn't a spoiler, this is literally the first page of the book. And then it kind of follows June Hayward through her journey through publishing and her attempts not to get caught for literally plagiarizing this book, this manuscript she's stolen from her supposed friend. Now, I'm not going to go any more into the plot than that. I just want to talk about kind of what I think Kuang is doing here in the book. So there are a lot of things going on in this book. Primarily, I think it's asking us to think about things like cultural appropriation, and to think about issues of plagiarism, and to think about authenticity and what we demand from authors. And it's asking us to think about how we approach authors and these issues in places just like here on BookTube. As a matter of fact, BookTube is actually mentioned in the pages of the book, and how we approach things that people refer to as canceling, and how we go about all of that. And I think the brilliance of the book as it exists is in the way in which the reader is more or less invited to see things from June Hayward's point of view. Now, you need to know June Hayward is a terrible person. She more or less pretends to be friends with Athena Liu, even though she is bitterly jealous of Athena Liu's success and her beauty and her wealth. Hayward had published a novel herself, which wasn't very successful. Athena Liu had already published 3, which were massively successful. And so, she more or less, June seems to be Athena Liu's only friend, and vice versa. And yet, June has a really negative view of Athena Liu. And she steals this manuscript for her, and then she has it published. And one of the things that we then see, because we're the readers, we see all the self-justification that June goes through. We see all the way in which she is either intentionally or unintentionally obtuse about her privilege and about what she's doing, and about how this theft is more than just plagiarism and reworking somebody else's idea. We see all of that. And there are moments in the book when I was reading that what June says or does or thinks are so cringy that I thought, I can't go on reading this. I hate June so much, and she is so much a representative of everything that goes along perhaps with white privilege, and with the fact that white people have a tendency to be able to get away with all kinds of things that other people couldn't. And yet, as you read along, I can't help but think that most readers are on some level going to at least sympathize with June, on the level that you kind of feel tension when it feels like she's going to get caught. That whenever she's going to get caught, I, as the reader, felt that tension. And what I think that means is that on some level, I was kind of found myself rooting for her to get away with it. If that is what you or I felt, that's what I felt, then I think Kuang has done something really brilliant, because she is essentially forcing us to confront, in my case, to confront why I would feel sympathy for June. Why would I feel sympathy for this person who's done this terrible, terrible thing? Why would I find myself wanting her to get away with it? Why would I find myself, looking at all the other people involved in the book and thinking, well, they're just as bad as June, and using that perhaps to justify, thinking June's going to get away with it, and on some level maybe rooting for her too, because Kuang doesn't give us any heroes. There is, Athena's ex-boyfriend who's just looking to cash in. There is a fired intern assistant who is just looking for revenge. There are Asian American book reviewers who are looking to preserve the kind of ideas of authenticity and fighting, whatever they can that they call cultural appropriation for motives that may not be entirely pure. There's a publisher who's just looking to make money. It is not a world in which there are heroes or good guys. It's a world in which everybody is kind of a bad guy. So to give you some idea of what I'm talking about, let me just mention one other feature from the book. When June Hayward publishes this novel that she's stolen from Athena Liu, her publisher suggests that she change her name from June Hayward to June Song. It just so happens, and by the way, there are a few of these kind of plot devices which are a bit obvious and a bit kind of, you can see them coming a mile away type things, which I think weaken the book. But, her publisher encourages her to change her name from June Hayward on the cover to June Song. Her middle name just happens to be Song. And her publisher clearly knows that by publishing the book under the name June Song, people are going to assume that June is Asian American, as we find out they do. And the fact that June is either so oblivious to the impact this is going to have, or that she knows and doesn't care, just kind of indicates, a lot about June, but also about her publisher and her editor and the publishing world, and how readers and book buyers react to book titles and the names on books. All of that I think is really brilliantly done. And if there had been, this kind of absolutely good character who was trying to catch June, then I think it would have been difficult to sympathize with her at all. You would have seen it more clearly. But because the story is told from June's perspective, I think it's easy to get caught up in June's perspective as a reader. And I think that's a brilliant kind of trick that Kuang does with the book. And then the ending of the book, Art Kuang kind of goes after everybody: publishing, reviewers, critics, cultural, preservation people, online cancel culture, white privilege, and all kinds. She goes after all these things, and then in the end, I won't give away what the ending is, she turns that back on us as the reader and says, you're not completely free of guilt here either, which I found to be really brilliant. One more thing I just wanted to mention about the book, and I mentioned this because I haven't seen anybody else say it. You'll notice the book is named Yellowface, and the cover is literally yellow with a face on it. When you take the dust jacket off, it's white, right? And then when you read the title, I don't know if you can see it on the spine, the title is in yellow, so there's yellow bleeding through the white. And then when you open it, the end papers are yellow, encapsulating, the white pages of the book. I'm not a big person to gush over book covers. This is not the most beautiful book cover I've ever seen. But I did think it was really clever in kind of, being a physical representation of all the layers that exist within the book. Anyway, if you've read Yellowface, have ideas about it, or thinking about it, or just have ideas about what I said here, I look forward to your comments in the comment section below. And as always, thank you for watching.